Is the narcissist truly religious? Where there is religion, you will find our kind, the narcissists. I have spoken about how members of the clergy who are narcissists utilize religion to considerable effect in the video, The Holy Narcissist. But what about the situation involving non-clergy? What about where the narcissist professes to be a religious individual, expresses a religious belief? Is this genuine? Whether it appertains to Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, Sikhism, Judaism, Korean shamanism, lots of isms that are available for worshippers, followers, devotees, acolytes to attach to. Although religious beliefs in particular areas decline, there are still many that subscribe to following a religion, and therefore there are many narcissists who express religious beliefs. Indeed, there are those who are not members of the clergy who are extremely committed, devout believers and followers of a particular religion. But is it genuine? Well, like most things appertaining to the narcissist, it isn't genuine, but it is a device of convenience. It is like sex, like the use of flattery, like physical violence, like mowing your lawn for you. Religion to a narcissist is just another device which is available to enable the narcissist to get the prime aims. All narcissists can adopt and jettison their religious beliefs in some way, and will do so in a similar way to, for example, the way that the narcissist will give you great sex and then withhold it. But there are some considerable differences that need to be taken into account when it comes to the question of whether a narcissist is truly religious. A narcissist that is consistently religious, where that narcissist is lesser or mid-range, is a true believer. They do not realize that the use of their religion is for the prime aims. If you were to try and persuade them that their belief was just a device that they were using to assert control, gain fuel, etc., that, of course, represents a threat to them. You would be issuing challenge fuel, and their narcissism would reject that. They would maintain that they are a true believer, that their faith is unwaverable and unshakable, and that you are going to experience a tortured existence in the afterlife, dependent upon which apparent religion it is, for your heretic beliefs. Trying to explain to somebody that you have identified as a narcissist that their belief in their relevant religion is merely a device will get you nowhere. And, of course, having identified that they are a narcissist, you ought to have implemented no contact. The lesser or mid-range narcissist doesn't realize that the religion is being used for the purposes of the prime aims. They believe that they are a believer. They will not accept that their consistent religious beliefs are but a fabrication and a device. They cannot see that. What about, though, a narcissist that is inconsistent with regard to their religious beliefs, i.e., they believe and then they don't? What is happening there? Well, this is simply a case that the narcissism will be causing that particular narcissist to switch on and off the use of religion as perhaps part of mirroring, so that if they come across a victim that's particularly religious, they proclaim to be religious. The narcissist will not always mirror that, aspect, but the narcissist may well select that as a useful thing for the narcissist to do in order to control that individual, to gain fuel from them, character traits and residual benefits. And then, when they deal with a different appliance, they don't use their religious beliefs. Indeed, they may well claim not to have any. Indeed, they may even pour scorn on the concept of a religious belief. This, of course, exemplifies the chameleon nature of the narcissist, so that, for instance, you might have a narcissist that attends church in order to utilize that religious belief for the control of a candidate, intimate partner, secondary source. Then yet, when he's with his friends who do not believe, he pours scorn on people who attend church and claims that he doesn't believe in God. And then the next day, he goes to church and is there on bended knee, genuflecting before the altar and offering up prayers. The clear hypocrite. But he will not see that, because once again, if the inconsistencies in that approach were pointed out, that would amount to challenge fuel. The narcissism would defend him in some form, initially with denial. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never said that I don't believe in God. I've always believed in God. I don't know where you've heard that from. That's just people stirring shit about me. You know that I do. I come to church with you. Might be the response if the girlfriend says, "What's this I hear from Joe, that you've been saying that you don't believe in God?" Or similarly, if a friend says, "Hey, didn't I see you attending church last Sunday with that chick?" "No, it wasn't me. I think you got me confused." Or, "Oh, I was just going along to keep her company, but it's rather boring, actually. I'd have much rather been hanging out with you guys." Denial. The narcissist compartmentalizes, as we do with many things, and there is no consistent application of the religious belief. So, where you're dealing with lesser or mid-range narcissists, they are, of course, the unaware narcissists. Where they are consistently religious, they truly believe, and they don't see that their religious belief is being utilized as a device of convenience, a form of manipulation, for the achievement of the prime aims. Other lesser and mid-range narcissists can flick on and off between religious belief and non-religious belief. Again, doing so to pursue the prime aims. Such compartmentalization not seen as problematic because the narcissism will not allow them to see the blatant hypocrisy of their behavior. What about where the narcissist is greater or ultra, and they maintain a consistent religious belief? The greater or the ultra knows that they are only doing this for the purposes of the pursuit of the prime aims, the maintenance of a particular facade, the assertion of power and control over individuals. And they know that they don't believe, despite them maintaining an appearance of being a true believer. Where there is an inconsistent application of religious belief, similar to the example given for the lesser or mid-range narcissist, again, the greater or ultra narcissist knows full well what they are doing, knows that it's viewed as hypocritical, but sees nothing wrong with it, because the ends always justifies the means. And, of course, if there is any attempt to demonstrate that they are hypocritical, then this will be dealt with as a challenge to control and dealt with appropriately through one of the three assertions of control. The greater or the ultra know that the religious belief that they maintain consistently is an artifice, or, where it is not maintained consistently, they recognize the hypocrisy of doing so, but will never admit to it as such, because, of course, that would result in the transference of power. Religion is a very useful tool to us. I attended a church school and was brought up to believe in God. I do not, but it should. I see a need for me to express to be a believer, then I will do so. I will utilize the power of the divine to support my endeavors, because, as mentioned, the ends always justify the means. Is that hypocritical? Of course it is, and I can tell you this, and admit to it to you because you don't know who I am, but in my private life, such hypocrisy would be denied, deflected, moved to one side, explained away with my customary intelligence and charm. Religion is a very important manipulative tool for our kind. First of all, it is hugely important with regard to the presentation of a facade by mid-range, greater, or ultra-narcissists. A facade of decency, a facade of compassion and caring. Of course, as you know, we don't have any emotional empathy, and this is all part of the cognitive empathy. The creation of the facade of good works, of helping people, being seen as a pillar of the local community, a regular church attendee, as somebody that espouses particular Christian values, or whatever appropriate religion it is. And of course, as is invariably the case, because we are narcissists, what goes on behind this facade demonstrates that we do not follow the religion in the slightest. Examples will include giving the appearance of fidelity and not indulging in certain sins, and then leading a bacchanalian lifestyle full of hedonism and forbidden fruits behind the scenes. There will invariably be the disconnect between the facade and the other behaviour of the narcissist, and of course, with the greater and the ultra, getting behind that facade becomes more difficult. With mid-rangers, it will be difficult to a degree, and the mid-ranger, operating in a more covert fashion and being passive-aggressive, will keep the behaviours on the down low, so that where they are cheating, of course, they will keep that affair hidden as a consequence of the instinctive response of the narcissism to ensuring that the facade is not damaged and control is not threatened. Religion is a magnificent opportunity for us to use it to control others, telling other people how they should live their lives, telling them to maintain free from sin, telling them what they should eat, telling other people how they should dress, telling them how they should behave, telling them how they should donate, the good works that they should attend to. Utilizing the religion as a code by which somebody should live their life, we harness it, utilize it, and in the same way as we would use flattery or sex or making you a chocolate cake, the narcissist is able to use religion to tell you how you should behave, dress, etc., all for the purposes of asserting control over you, whilst done from the moral high ground. Of course, it is very much the case that the narcissist will tell you how to behave, but where it suits us, we will not do similar, the hypocrisy again being evident. But that doesn't matter, because either the narcissism will blind the narcissist to the hypocrisy of them telling somebody that they should behave in a particular way, yet they then directly contravene that, or where greater or ultra, we know that there's a hypocrisy, but we simply don't care. Religion is a fantastic method of enabling control over other people, all done under the auspices of either having an apparent concern in the well-being of that individual, or utilising it to pour scorn on that person for their loose living and errant ways. Religion is also a magnificent device to the narcissist to allow them to nullify threats to control. And one of the biggest threats to control of the narcissist, if not the biggest, is death. At some point, we all will shuffle off this mortal coil. The body will stop working. And unless somehow we have managed to download ourselves into something else, that's it. Game over. Of course, there'll be many of you who disagree with me because you are religious, and you're perfectly entitled to those views. In the same way that I'm perfectly entitled to my view, that it is game over. At that point, that's it. We become worm food. And saving some form of legacy that we've created whilst our physical body was alive, then in such circumstances, we fall prey to being forgotten about. And the prospect of a mortal death and being forgotten about represents a horrifying threat to the control of a narcissist. And therefore, religion provides a means of escaping that. The belief that somehow the narcissist will live on, either going to heaven, attending some other form of outcome, whereby they transcend into another form, whether it's reincarnation, coming back as a beetle, a cow, or a polar bear, whatever it might be, but the fact that somehow the narcissist is able to live on in some form, whether it's a spirit or a soul, whatever it might be, that ability to continue to exist in some form beyond physical death provides the narcissist with a means to nullify the threat to control that exists, that is death, and of course, what provides an outlet for continuing in existence? Religion. And therefore, a narcissist will adhere to that religion, particularly where it is one that promises some kind of afterlife, and most do, then that provides the narcissist with that ability to nullify the threat to control posed by the physical death. Religion is also redolent with magical thinking, the concept of miracles, the concept of strange happenings that have occurred that defy rational explanation. And of course, who is prone to magical thinking? Our kind. And it doesn't take much of a stretch of the imagination or the application of logic to work out that many of the apparent miracles that are spoken of, the many amazing and magical instances that have occurred, will have been declared by narcissists as part of their grandiosity and the way of seeing the world. The formation of those events and those miracles will have occurred as a consequence of a narcissist perspective, and thereafter a narcissist can utilize this in their day-to-day life to reference the possibility of surprising events, occurrences and outcomes based upon their religious faith, somehow that they caused that to occur because they prayed hard last night, or that as a consequence of their adherence to an appropriate way of living, they receive an appropriate reward thereafter. That magical thinking appeals to narcissists because magical thinking is something that many narcissists absolutely engage in, and religion is littered with examples of that, and therefore proves to be manna from heaven for the narcissist to utilize that. Religion, of course, proves an effective way of achieving the prime aims. As I mentioned earlier, it is a prime method of asserting control over people. It also allows the gathering of fuel. So, for instance, upbraiding somebody for their loose living will result in a reaction. Fuel is given. Behaving in a particular way, which is seen as morally acceptable, will meet with admiration, approval, compliments. Fuel is gained. The ability to do good works through religion garners fuel. And where somebody who is not a narcissist is religious and they conduct themselves in a particular way, they exemplify the empathy that is accorded with religion. Their own emotional empathy enables them to do good works in a quiet and meaningful way. The narcissist, of course, does it in order to garner fuel and to assert control, and there is no emotional empathy there because the individual is a narcissist. It also allows the acquisition of character traits, either from other worshippers, from members of the clergy, even from those who are saints or relevant, prominent figures within the religion. The narcissist will acquire facets of those individuals and utilize them for themselves. And finally, it's a very effective way of gaining prime aims. One of the biggest being money. And you only have to look to certain television preachers that have built up huge fortunes utilizing the name of God in order to appropriate the assets of other individuals. That is a key residual benefit. Promising people salvation, entry to heaven, etc., on the basis of making donations is something that religion has done for a very long time. For instance, the payment of a tithe in medieval and beyond times. The fact that people would give to the church in order essentially to absolve themselves of particular sins in effect, buying their way into heaven to ensure that the sins that they had committed didn't mean that they were going to have a tortured and fiery existence burning in the apparent lake of hell, or whatever appropriate device is utilized in the relevant religion to punish the transgressor, the non-believer, and the sinner. Religion enables those religious narcissists to gain money, to gain assistance, to gain access to networks. In some instances, to obtain shelter, somewhere to live, to gain favours and support from other people, all of those things being a residual benefit. Invariably, you will witness, with the religious narcissist, the hypocrisy of how they tell other people to live their lives and how they claim to live their lives as against what they actually do. And there will be so much of telling everybody else that you should do this when they behave in a completely different manner. And, dependent upon the type of narcissist you're dealing with, the level of the hypocrisy is often glaringly obvious, or can take a little unearthing, but it is there. Indeed, you even see it in the comments on my channel. There are those who are not narcissists, who are religious, and, as I've explained, they're perfectly entitled to form that view, and you can see that the nature of their comments are empathic, charitable, supportive towards other people. And then there are the others that come and tell me that I can be saved. Well, it hasn't happened so far, and it isn't going to happen soon either. It simply will not occur. You may have that view, but you need not force it upon me. To do so is a failure to recognise a boundary, is to exhibit a lack of emotional empathy towards me. It is trying to control me, but of course they are blinded to that because the ones that do so are lesser or mid-range narcissists. And their comments about threatening people, that saying that they will burn in the lake of fire because of the way that they behave, demonstrates a lack of emotional empathy, utilising it as a threat, i.e. a form of manipulation. There are many, many individuals who are, of course, not narcissists who operate within religion. But there are a lot of our kind that can be found within the ranks not only of the clergy, but also amongst followers and worshippers, because religion provides us with a major method of achieving the prime aims. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.